Have you ever found yourself anxiously staring at a quiet screen, waiting for a text reply that takes longer than expected? In our fast-paced modern world of hyper-connected communication, we often celebrate instant replies as the ultimate romantic gesture. We crave constant updates throughout the long and busy workday, believing that complete availability is the truest proof of love. We want our partners to report their every single move, sharing every minor event, from morning coffee to late evening. When a message is delayed by even a few minutes, a sudden panic begins to quietly surface inside your chest. If their tone seems slightly flatter than usual over text, your mind immediately spirals into complex and dark scenarios. You might find yourself treating this person as your only savior, expecting them to absorb all your stress, anger, and insecurity. When they fail to respond immediately with total enthusiasm, you feel an overwhelming sense of existential despair and profound abandonment. Gradually, your personal life begins to shrink down to nothing as you cancel plans with long-term friends and ignore hobbies. Your career ambitions fade into the background of your daily mind because your entire focus is locked onto another human being. You might tell yourself that this intensity is just love, but what you are experiencing is something far more volatile. In psychological terms, you have fallen into a state known as survival-level attachment. You may think you are simply enjoying a deep relationship, but in reality, you are using another person to stay afloat. You are relying on their constant attention just to maintain your fragile sense of personal existence every single day. In this video, we will explore why we develop this exhausting emotional pattern and how we can gradually reclaim our independent sense of self. To understand why unreturned messages trigger such intense panic, we must look below the surface of adult romantic relationships. For a person trapped in survival-level attachment, an unanswered text message does not simply mean a busy partner. Instead, the lack of an immediate response is subconsciously interpreted as a complete withdrawal of affection and safety. At an even deeper level, the hidden fear sounds like this: if you do not confirm me right now, I cease to exist. In healthy adult relationships, individuals possess a vital mental capacity known as stable internal representation. When their partner is away at work or out with friends, they retain a comforting internal sense of that person's enduring affection. They do not need continuous digital proof to know that the bond remains solid and intact through the day. However, in the world of over-attachment, this internal representation is fragile or completely broken. You become like a lost child walking through a dark forest, who must constantly scream out loud to hear an echo back. Only when you hear that echo return through your phone screen can you confirm that you have not fallen into an abyss. The process of demanding high-frequency validation is actually an attempt to borrow someone else's attention to feel real. You are essentially asking your partner to take on a role of absolute, omnipotent care, 24 hours every single day. When that emotional echo disappears, even for a brief moment, an internal black hole opens up within your mind. The intense rage and despair that follow an unanswered call are not adult emotions reacting to a minor inconvenience. They are the primitive, desperate reactions of an infant whose basic survival needs have suddenly been left unmet. Imagine your psychological system as a smartphone running an incredibly heavy demanding program in the background of daily life. Instead of running on your own internal battery of self-worth, your operating system is tethered to an external charger. Every text message, compliment, or nod of approval acts as a temporary surge of electrical power to keep you functioning. The moment that external plug is pulled, your system instantly enters a state of critical power failure and severe distress. If we trace this pattern back 20 or 30 years, We often find a child standing in a quiet nursery. Over-attachment in adulthood is frequently a delayed attempt to compensate for emotional neglect experienced during early developmental years. During infancy, when a child requires immediate responses to build a foundational sense of safety, their caregiver may have been distant. When early cries for connection go unanswered or remain unpredictable, the child develops a state of intense, persistent hypervigilance to survive. Emotionally, that young mind learns to constantly monitor the moods and facial expressions of adults around them. They discover that extreme clinging is the only strategy that yields even a small crumb of attention and care. As an adult, you carry this exact survival blueprint straight into your romantic endeavors and modern dating life. You seek an uninterrupted, 24/7, digital connection because you are trying to reconstruct a missing perfect symbiotic phase. You are not simply engaging in a partnership between two equal adults. You are attempting to conduct a very late nursing process. Your deep obsession with constant check-ins and shared schedules is an effort to fill a vast, ancient emotional void. That overwhelming feeling of emptiness when your partner is away is merely an old nightmare repeating itself in your adult body. To fully understand this condition, we must examine the three core behavioral traits that define survival-level attachment in daily living. The first distinct trait is an unrelenting state of hyper-surveillance. Regarding your partner's emotional shifts, you spend enormous amounts of mental energy decoding subtle changes in their voice, texting habits, or physical posture during dinner. A simple period of silence during an evening car ride is automatically interpreted as a sign of impending relationship failure. The second core trait is the complete outsourcing of your self-worth and internal identity to another person. You find that you can no longer make independent choices, ranging from major career shifts down to simple weekend clothing purchases. A single warm compliment from your partner elevates you to the clouds, while a momentary tired expression throws you into despair. You have effectively handed the master controls of your emotional well-being over to someone else, leaving yourself entirely powerless. The third trait is the progressive erosion of your personal boundaries and individual identity. Over time, you slowly abandon your individual interests, neglect your close friendships, and sacrifice your personal goals to maintain absolute physical and emotional availability. You transform your entire existence into a satellite orbiting around the central sun of your partner's life and changing needs. Alongside these three destructive traits, our culture promotes several dangerous societal myths about love that exacerbate over-attachment. The first prevailing myth is the romanticized idea that true devotion requires complete transparency and non-stop communication throughout every day. Modern media often frames extreme possessiveness and constant contact as the highest expressions of deep, passionate connection between partners. In truth, demanding non-stop confirmation is not an act of love, but rather a manifestation of unmanaged anxiety and control. The second myth is the subconscious belief that an ideal partner should act as the ultimate savior for your old emotional wounds. You may believe that, if someone truly loves you, they will intuitively understand and heal all your past childhood trauma. However, expecting a partner to carry the weight of your unresolved history places an unsustainable burden on any human relationship. When you demand that another person become your ultimate emotional regulator, you inadvertently strip away their freedom to be an authentic human being. The third myth is the harmful assumption that needing personal space or time alone is a sign of waning affection. Many people treat a partner's desire for solitude as a direct threat to the safety and stability of the entire relationship. Yet, healthy intimacy does not thrive in a state of suffocating fusion, but rather in the respectful space between two distinct individuals. Breaking free from the grip of survival-level attachment is undoubtedly a painful and challenging process for anyone to undertake. It often brings up intense feelings of anxiety that closely resemble the physical withdrawal experienced when breaking a powerful addiction. However, shifting your focus back toward self-sovereignty is the only reliable path to establishing enduring peace and genuine intimacy. Here are 4 practical, low-barrier mental adjustments you can begin implementing in your daily life starting today. First, you must actively dismantle the illusion of your partner as an omnipotent savior in your life. You need to remind yourself clearly that no matter how loving your partner is, they cannot repair your past developmental wounds. They are your equal companion, traveling alongside you, not an emergency patch designed to cover up your internal emotional voids. When you stop viewing them as your sole source of emotional survival, your intense fear of losing them will naturally begin to decrease. Second, you should practice building your personal tolerance for intentional periods of non-contact throughout your normal week. Start small by turning off your phone notifications for just 10 or 15 minutes, while leaving it in another room. Sit quietly with the rising feeling of emptiness or discomfort, observing the sensation without immediately reacting or sending a text message. You will gradually realize that the catastrophic feeling of abandonment is merely a false alarm generated by your anxious mind. Discovering that you can comfortably survive an hour of complete silence builds true internal security, far better than any external reassurance ever could. Third, you need to systematically reconstruct a multi-pillar foundation to support your life, identity, and personal happiness. Avoid placing the entire weight of your existence onto the single, fragile pillar of a romantic relationship. Actively reinvest your energy into cultivating long-term friendships, pursuing personal career milestones, and engaging in rewarding, solitary hobbies. When your life is balanced across 5 sturdy pillars, such as friendship, professional growth, creative outlets, self-care, and romance, your world will not collapse if one pillar sways slightly. Fourth, you must stop outsourcing your emotional regulation and begin practicing simple, daily habits of self-soothing. The next time you feel overwhelmed by sadness, anger, or anxiety, refrain from immediately reaching for your phone to ask for help. Instead, take a pause, sit down in a quiet room, and ask yourself what your body and mind need right in this moment. Take a warm bath, go for a long walk outside, or simply sit quietly while accepting the presence of the feeling. Once you prove to yourself that you possess the capacity to comfort your own distress, your frantic need for external validation will diminish. This brings us to an interesting philosophical paradox at the very heart of human connection and intimacy. The more desperately you cling to another person for survival, the more you accidentally suffocate the very love you are trying to preserve. Genuine connection cannot thrive in a state of emotional captivity, where 2 individuals bind themselves together to ward off internal darkness. True intimacy requires the courage to stand as an independent entity, capable of enduring solitude without falling into pieces. It is the conscious choice of 2 complete individuals walking side by side through an open field, rather than 2 broken bodies tied together in a deep cavern. Take a moment today to quietly reflect on your own relationship dynamics and daily emotional patterns. Are you offering your partner the freedom to be an independent human being, or are you demanding that they validate your existence? Have you inadvertently allowed your own vibrant interests, unique personality, and personal boundaries to dissolve in pursuit of constant togetherness? If you resonated with our discussion today, consider sharing your personal thoughts and experiences in the comment section below. Letting others read your story can often provide comfort to those navigating similar paths of emotional growth. If you found value in this perspective, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with someone who might need it today. Thank you for spending your valuable time with us, and take good care of yourself until next time.